everybody's here. Everybody's taking a stand against the state here with this governor that has not already granted this clemency petition to free the Pendleton 2. If you don't know who the Pendleton 2 are, we're going to get into that throughout the next hour or so. And I just wanted to go ahead and introduce this story. If you're not already familiar with it, and if you are, hopefully you get some details today about how to take some action on that tragedy that's happening, not just in 85, but just the whole time. And so I'm gonna bring up this brother Too Black. He's the host of the Blackness Podcast. If you've not heard of the Blackness Podcast, it's a podcast talking about blackness and all these myths that he created. And he had Naeem and Balagoon on the actual show, and it was awesome. If you've not heard it, he's gonna do an overview right now, not just the case, but just the whole story and the whole struggle of the Pendleton 2. So everybody give it up for Too Black.
What's good, what's good? How you doing? Alright, cool. Alright, so I go by the name Too Black. I'm an artist, poet, author here in the city. I heard about this story we're about to tell you at a rally, I think back in like October or something. And I did not know, I consider myself pretty aware of political prisoners, but I did not know that we had any in Indiana. So I was very ashamed of this, just personally. And I felt like it was important to bring light to it. How many people in here know what a political prisoner is, just for the show of hands? Alright, so it looks like most of us probably have a clue. Just to run that down real quick. A political prisoner, in theory, simply is somebody who is in prison for their political beliefs and the political stance that they take. That can happen on the outside or the inside. So it can mean that you can take a stance somewhere on the outside for what you believe politically, and you can be in prison for that wrongfully. Or you can be inside the prison, become politicized, do something, and become sentenced further and within the prison for that, you become a political prisoner. So two individuals we're talking about, the Pendleton 2, Naeem Trotter and Balagoon Cole, they are political prisoners. People who need other points of reference, Asad Shakur is a political prisoner. Martin Luther King, at one point of his life, was a political prisoner. We can run down the list. Huey P. Newton was a political prisoner. Pretty much half the Black Panthers were political prisoners. We can just keep doing this, right? So plenty of people have become political prisoners. Mumia Abu-Jamal, probably one of the most well-known political prisoners. So just to set the scene, in 1985, February 1st, there was a rebellion. But before we get to the actual rebellion, I want people to understand in Pendleton, what was at the time Indiana Reformatory, what the conditions were. So there was already a class action lawsuit from the prisoners about the conditions in this place because they were so terrible. People were shackled to beds. It was overcrowded. People were not being fed. People were being medically neglected. So this is a terrible place. And it was ran by a white supremacist gang called the Sons of Light. And when I say a gang, I do not mean the guards. I do not mean the inmates. I mean the actual guards belong to a KKK splinter group called the Sons of Light. To the extent that their children actually played with their KKK robes. Like this is bragged about regularly within the prison. So this is the type of place we're talking about, right? So the prisoners regularly were persecuted, regularly were beat up on, regularly weren't getting fed, regularly weren't being taken care of. This was happening in this place prior to the rebellion we were talking about. And there's also other rebellions within Indiana as well. There's one in Michigan City, but today we're going to highlight this main rebellion. So before I get into it one more time, remember, sign the letter to the governor and such, sign our email list here at the front with Nick. So February 1st, 1985, like I said, the prison was already a terrible place, as all prisons are. Early morning on that day, on a pretext of searching for weapons, guards in riot gear sprayed tear gas and cell of Lokmar Abdul-Wadood, handcuffed him. Then, according to court documents, they, quote, maliciously held him down, unmercifully stomped and kicked the inmate all over his body, and hit the inmate upon and about his upper head and the head with nightsticks. mind you, he was handcuffed. We have somebody here who actually witnessed this. He was handcuffed, and he was beat with an illegal billy club, and this is what was happening. And the charge essentially was to kill him. So Balagoon, that's one of the main people in this story, in the trial. Balagoon was headed up in that area. This is in the MRU, what's known as the Maximum Restraint Unit. He was visiting some people because he helps people with their cases. So he was visiting people to help with the case for some disciplinary hearings later in the day. And he heard some things going on, and the people shouted for Balagoon to come and check on what was going on. So they're beating Lokmar in this very moment. Lokmar is being beat up, and he gets dragged out, and they hear the words, this is a quote, excuse my French, but this is what happened. The order was kill son of a bitch. This is the order that the guards put out. Again, we're talking about KKK splinter group. So Balagoon was brought in by the other prisoners. They're like, yo, get Balagoon. He demands to see Lokmar, but the guards dragged Lokmar to the captain's office and would not let Balagoon see him. So they're trying to save this man's life because they're probably going to kill him. Really, there's no problem. So Balagoon gathered others, including Naeem, and they led the charge to go see what was happening to Lokmar. So they went to the office back where Lokmar was being held. They tried to force their way into the office to free Lokmar, and the Sons of Light attacked them, forced them to retreat to the cell block. Lokmar was then moved to the infirmary. Naeem and Balagoon followed and encountered the guards, and then the guards surrounded them, ready to fight them. So the guards attacked them. They had to fight them, they with the order to kill them as well. They had to fight their way out. So they fought their way out to the infirmary, or forced to the guard hall. At this point, they are fighting to save their own lives, and then they get locked in cell house J in this prison. So what happens here, and again, we have people here who can describe this moment a little bit better, because again, obviously I was not there, but the guards rushed them with weapons, billy clubs, etc. to defend themselves. They have to fight the guards. The guards are chasing them. To save themselves, they had to actually run into the cell, and they had to take the guards hostage, stabbed a few guards, took the guards hostage, and broke out into the cell, and they occupied this cell for 16 hours. And they had a series of demands. Nobody was, thankfully no one died. They had a series of demands, and the demands were to end the censorship of letters and media, the ability to be politically active without reprisal, the establishment of minimum wage for inmates, and the establishment of grievance committees for prisoners' safety to bring forward issues to DOC without fear of intimidation. So they were chased by guards who were trying to kill them. They had to take guards hostage to save their own lives. They were thankfully able to save Lokmar's life, who did not die on that day. They occupied the prison for about 15 to 16 hours. They had a series of demands. The National Guard came in, Indianapolis Star came in, the media came in, and they had to negotiate their release. Afterwards, they were sentenced to, Balagoon was sentenced to 84 years of 4 consecutive cases of criminal confinement, and then Naeem was sentenced to 142 years for attempted murder, criminal confinement, and battery. They're still in prison today. Yet, at the same time, the Sons of Light, who was running all this, who instigates this, who starts this, who's beating up on the prisoners, who's ready to kill the prisoners, nothing has ever been brought to light about this group, no fun. We actually have in a deposition one of the guards who was involved in this incident, who confesses to these guards being a part of this white supremacist guard gang. So again, this is not something we're making up. This is documented in court. But this information never made it to the actual trials of these 2 individuals. And when you look through their court case, a lot of these people who even confessed, because there were even guards who sued this prison, that's how bad it was. But even the guards weren't, the testimony of the guards about how bad the prison wasn't even allowed into the trials of Trotter or Balagoon. So they haven't gotten a fair trial. Actually, Trotter's case was vacated, and then another judge was brought back in, this is just in 2018, and resentenced into another 122 years, claiming that he had to protect his brother. So this is how tight IDOC rolls. This is the case. So that's just to give everybody a backdrop. There's more to talk about, like how Balagoon served 30 years in solitary confinement post this, how they broke up the prisoners, how there was a whole prisoner movement. how they were organizing. But we're going to get to our panelists for now. So we have 5 panelists. I don't know who's all here just yet, so we're going to bring up who's here. So we got Big R, we got Little John, we got Queen, and we got Baye. Is everybody here? Give it up for him, give it up for him. Keep it up, 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 keep it up. Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we should be good right here. Can everybody hear me right here as we're just sitting right here?
Yes.
All right, so before we even get into the conversation, can you gentlemen introduce yourselves? I'm gonna start with you, Little John.
Yes, my name is Little John Paul. I did a little time in Michigan City back in the day, so I'm here representing the brothers that's still there, the ones that's out here. I know everybody in here knows someone that's been locked up, related to someone been locked up, or might even been locked up. So I'm in here to correct some of these wrongs that the IDOC has been put down for lots and lots of years.
My name is, I'm Baye Sylvester. I too spent a lot of time incarcerated, 26 and a half years of my life behind the wall. I'm here because this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be wherever there's folks fighting for liberation and standing up against oppression. It makes no difference to me what color it is, where it's at, and I can say for a fact that these brothers that we here to celebrate and to honor and to call for their liberation, they deserve everybody's attention, they deserve our help, and hopefully we can move this needle forward and push this opportunity to try to release them. And I also just want to say that I spent the majority of my years behind the wall at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City, where the conditions were no different. You know, there was a lot going on throughout the state of Indiana. It continues to go on. And I just also want to highlight the fact that this brother sitting here, Ben Timber, raise your hand for me. This was one of the other brothers that was there on the units when this thing was down.
My name is Rodney Jones, aka Big R. I was actually on the unit in 1985 when the incident took place. I witnessed the guards come in and jump on Lincoln Love, known as Lokmar. I was actually on the unit.
We all appreciate it.
All right, we'll pass the mic around.
Hey, Black, can he say who he was one more time? Can he say who he was one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Little John Faulkner, but everybody call me John. And by the way, I was in there with these two brothers, so we know each other very well.
I got a question. Alright, so Big R, I know you were there. So I'm not even gonna ask you a question, just like would you like to speak to the event, like what you saw from your perspective?
Actually, can y'all hear me? Actually, what took place, he came down there and shook us down 2 or 3 times already. So they made it a point to keep harassing us. After about the 3rd time of coming down there, they didn't already disrupted everything we had. You know, we didn't know at the time that they was targeting a certain prisoner, Lincoln Love, Lokmar. So when they came down there for this 3rd time, I noticed it was about 9 or 10 of them lined upside the wall. I could see Lokmar's cell because they had 9 going this way and 9 going that way. So as I come to my bars and look out, I tell Lo, I say, man, it's about 9 to 10 guards out here with helmets, sticks, and everything else, you know. So Lo was saying, look, man, they done took everything we had. We ain't got nothing left. So they was trying to tell the brother, look, come on out of the cell. Before he could really get ready to come out of the cell, they done rushed in his cell, knocked him down. Can you imagine 8 or 9 guards or 6 or 7 guards in your cell and you one person that already knocked you to the ground? They got you handcuffed. Then they hit the man in the head with the sticks. So I'm seeing all this blood gushing out of the man's head. You know, I'm trying to get some of that attention over in my cell. Hey man, y'all killing the brother over there. But they wasn't hearing us. Their mind was already made up what they was gonna do, you know. So once the side we was on, you could basically holler out the window and tell somebody, hey man, somebody go around there and get Bollock on them and come and check on this situation. They down here, they've been down here 3 or 4 times. So what's the purpose? We didn't find out till later on they come down there specifically to try to kill this brother here, Lokmar. Oh yeah, it was a sad event. And I know y'all can look at me now, I don't look like nothing I've been through. I was there in 1985. It's sad to say that Brother Lokmar is no longer with us. He passed away on the journey in prison. You know. Thank you for listening.
Queenie, if you can introduce yourself real quick.
Hello everybody, I'm Queen, I'm from Evansville, Indiana. I haven't actually spent any time behind bars, but right now I currently have 3 sons. I gave birth to 3 sons, and all of them right now are currently incarcerated. 2 of them are in the state of Indiana, 1 of them went fed. It's been about 4 years and counting. It was rough at first. Because of that particular situation for me, and it was new, and I didn't know what the freak to do. Green Star Families was birthed out of that. Right now, my Green Star family members is the members of the Focus team and IDOC Watch, because they have been major support to me. My everything just turned upside down, and it wasn't until I met up with these gentlemen that I was able to look at my son's incarceration in a different light. At first, I blamed myself. I was a single mom. I did work 2-3 jobs to make it do what it do. Yeah, my boys went into a line of work because they got tired of their mama, you know, working 2 or 3 jobs, and you know, we was just always about that bag. We still about that bag. But anyway, IDOC Watch and Focus and Comrades, they are the support system that I am looking to build for other families such as myself, because it wasn't here recently that I realized that this was not a unique situation. So almost immediately after I got educated via the political line and some other readings that was suggested, my depression and self-blame immediately turned into rage, and now I'm ready to pack a punch. And I know that the kind of punches that need to be packed is gonna have to be done in numbers. I look at it like, you know, they still stealing our babies away. Like in the middle of the night, I look at some of those, you know, those old movies that tell you about how the black people went through. They was targeting their black men back then, and 2 of mine, they just, you know, came and snatched out in the middle of the night on some bull crap warrants that they still have yet to produce. You know, so yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to be a branch for the ones that's incarcerated. Let their family members know that we don't have to sit back and take that. We don't have to sit back and just let them keep doing what they're doing without us saying absolutely and doing absolutely nothing. Because whatever's going on the other side of them walls, They prepping them for it on this side of the walls.
Exactly.
I got 6 grandsons. with all 3 of my sons in prison. I got 4 grandsons that's looking to Mima and Titi Nessa because daddy's not here. And they can't have the next generation without a fight. I didn't know what was going on when my children were growing up. I was just in straight survival mode. But now I'm thankful enough to be a little bit ahead of it as far as my awareness. And I am going to pull as many people, drag as many people, ask as many people, just so that we can make a change. Because for them to target our children the way they have, and I'm telling you, the depression was real. And even now, I still float back and forth, but because of the support system, you know, I've rang a few phones at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the kind of support that I look for is the kind of support that the Green Star Family Initiative is aiming to give, because like I said, it's not a unique situation.
Thank you, Queen. Just give that for Queen, man. Got a quick question for Rosanna. Why do you think, to her point, why do you think that the story of political prisoners, the story of Naeem and Balagoon, especially in a state like this, right? Why do you think it's not more known, right? Especially in this time of Black Lives Matter, or, you know, walking while black, swimming while black, eating while black, walking while black, whatever, right? You're talking about everybody but everybody behind the wall. I love the way y'all drive that home, you know? So I just wanted to hear from you.
Well, me being behind those walls all those years, and what I put my family through, didn't dawn on me until I met women like this, with others, men with their sons and brothers and fathers like that. I see it from a different perspective, how the pain and anguish that they go through out there while we're in prison. The perspective that I got now is so totally different, because I didn't know about what being locked up caused in society until I got out here and seen it and talked to women. I've been a cab driver, and everybody that I got in the back of my car had been locked up, or know somebody had been locked up. No matter where I was at, in Houston, Texas, Cincinnati, Ohio, or Indianapolis, Indiana. It's just the ingrown, blatant racism in this country that causes it. We know it. And first of all, the people who see it now only heard about it, but they didn't see it until they started putting these on and video. These cameras came out, which, by the way, is the best invention to me that's known to man. You know, because right now we lose it. And so now you see the real hatred and the degradation that society has put on us. It started a long time ago, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But I'm just talking about being locked up and coming out here talking to all these men and women that has brothers and sisters and their nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles behind bars. And they're leaving these little black babies out here with no fathers. And a lot of them just is petty. A lot of them in there for petty drug cases and things like that. Our elderly people that's in there that's I've seen finna die, and I'm looking at them almost half dead, and they still want to grant them a pardon to go out to die peacefully. We got men in prison that's been in there 40 years, 50 years, and what all they want to do is come out here and die in the free world. Not behind those 40-foot walls, electrified fences, and concrete cages that they have. So this is so dear to me, because I've had my friend just died in there after 40 years, 3 months ago. I went to get his ashes and bring them to my house and pray with him, and we were just trying to get him out. Just say hi to the lawyer, and he passed. They say from COVID, but I don't believe him. I don't believe anything that the administration says is right. And that's a fact. But I'm gonna pass the mic on to let my brother here give his perspective.
Uhuru. When I say Uhuru, that means freedom. Okay? When I say Uhuru Sasa, I mean freedom now. When you ask the question about my perspective on why we don't hear more about the atrocities going on behind the walls, and especially about Balagoon and Naeem in the light of the George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter. Well, we happen to be in the Mississippi of the Midwest here in Indiana. This is a different type of conservatism. This is a different type of oppression. But oppression by any other name is still oppression. Okay? And you have so many people who have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and so on and so forth. You know, I don't care if they're white folks, they're black folks, but when you caught up in the tyranny of the moment, when you concerned and worried about how you gonna pay your bills, how you gonna keep this roof over your head, it's hard. It's hard to hear somebody when they come to you and say, hey, let me talk to you about what's going on. Because a lot of folks wanna think that, oh, well, at least they got 3 hots in a cot. They don't understand that it's a paramilitary organization that is running rampant. That's what the Indiana Department of Correction is. Right. You know, the police department is the first line of defense for that 1% some of you done heard of. And then the extension of that there is these colonies, these prisons, these ghetto colonies in these neighborhoods surrounded by wealth. So the question becomes, even for those who consider themselves to be political, who consider themselves to be progressive, the thing is, right now, we find ourselves in a struggle for the minds of the people. And a lot of things of what we're talking about is going to brush up against some thoughts that you may have, some things you may have been ingrained with as a child, or whatever else. Yeah. A lot of us want to believe that that those individuals were tried and convicted. Well, any of you ever watched the 13th Amendment by Bernie, I can't think of her name. But anyway, if you read the Constitution, it says nothing in there about being justly convicted. It says that you was tried and convicted duly or whatever else. It don't say that it was just.
That's right.
You know, it don't say that there. We have to understand this here too, that we talking about oppression that has its roots so deep. There's a lot of people who benefit off of struggle, poverty, and so on and so forth. So the fact that we don't hear a lot about Naeem and try to, and then a lot of that there, I take responsibility for it. It falls on us. Those of us who have been inside, that's why we doing the work we doing now. It may be late.
No, it's on time.
Right. But it's on time.
Right on.
That's right.
They gonna see Monday. They gonna
see. And so, you know, the fact of it is that we have to let our voices be heard. But we struggling for the minds of the people. Our people are walking around out here struggling, lost, under misconceptions about this, that, and the other. We have to be just as consistent. We have to be just as strong in pushing this here. From this day forward, the name John Balagoon Cole and Naeem Trotter should be on the lips of us every time we get an opportunity to talk to anybody that want to listen. Ooh.
My God.
This for Big R. We talk about the Sons of Light. Can you give us more perspective on what the prison guards are like in Pendleton? And y'all can feel free to talk about the guards, not just in Pendleton, because we know this is not just in one prison.
Right.
But if you want to start with that, then we can go through the panel.
Well, at the time, the Son of Lights, the racist prison guards, we wasn't really aware that they was racist prison guards. We thought they were just some mean guards. You know, some of the guards came to work just to do their job. Some of them came to work and it was, you could notice, hey, this ain't the normal run of things. You know, to do this and don't do that. And I remember one particular day, I was headed to the infirmary, the hospital, and I had stepped off in the grass for a minute. And I heard somebody blowing a whistle. Now, I ain't thinking the whistle was for me. I'm thinking, you know, anything other than me. I get up in the hospital, and the guard busts up in the hospital door. He said, hey, big boy. He said, didn't you hear me blowing that whistle? I said, yeah, I heard you blowing the whistle, but I didn't know who it was for. He said, that was because you stepped in the grass. I said, okay, and the other guard stepped up. There was another guard behind the desk. He jumped up too. I said, what y'all get ready to jump on me because I stepped on the grass accidentally?
Right.
We just want you to know that you ain't from down here. I came from Michigan City down to Pendleton. I said, no, I ain't from down here. I said, what's the point of the whistle? Well, you know, we try to keep a little order about how we running things around here. So I kind of knew then I was in a different type of situation. But it still wasn't dawning on me that most of the captains and lieutenants and et cetera, had a little clique going.
Right.
You know, I know they was whooping people over here and jumping on people over here, and if you was kind of big guy, you got targeted by 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
you probably, you figure you can handle 1 or 2 of them, but then you got 5 or 6 of them jumping on you.
Sure.
And this was going on a regular basis. You was there, you know. Mustafa back there in the back, he was there, he know. You know, we were just we figured we was governed by, you know, guards that come to do their job and go home at the end of the day. No, they had a different agenda. They was there to try to break your spirit from the inside out. In the wintertime, they cutting on the air. In the summertime, they running the heat in your cell.
Right.
See, they trying to break you from the inside out. See, this is a whole nother different situation that you're in now. You figure you come in here, do your time, and, you know, go on about your business. But no, that ain't the way they wanted that. And don't be the type that will hold your head up. They want you to drop your head when you round. Some of us just wasn't cut like that. And I can imagine some of y'all feel the same way. You know, it was a sad situation. I wish I had all the time in the world. I can tell you some real spooky things about 1985.
86, 87, 88.
And on and on. But 1985, the one I experienced the most, was a real spooky time. And I just thank God that I'm here to tell the story. I ain't gonna take all the time. I could, but I'm gonna pass the mic. Thanks for listening.
Well, like I said, I haven't, spent any time behind the prison walls. They got me in a different way, as far as oppression. But I do know that from the communication, since I've been made aware of what was going on, or what had gone on with Balagoon and Naeem, that this is not a situation from way back when. Like, I have complaints from loved ones who have people incarcerated where last year, back then they was called the Sons of Light. Today they called the Good Old Boys. Also learned here recently that there's actually a female counterpart to their organization. The females are allegedly head in secretary jobs and administrative positions to where they can actually track and target whoever they want to, who's inside of the penal system. So
is this just one prison? This is all throughout Indiana State Prison?
this was just dropped in my lap maybe 2 or 3 days ago. That's why I used the word allegedly, but it don't sound so far-fetched that, I'm like, wow, okay, I believe it. But apparently these women are like I said, the female counterparts to the racist COs inside. They track where their targets are going. They make it hard. They the ones who control whether or not they're going to get their commissary, whether or not they're going to get their legal meal right. They act their camouflaged as counselors, administrative assistants to the warden, even some right downtown Indianapolis. A few names have been given to me. I'm gonna keep them to myself until I research it, but this is not, and why don't nobody know about it? Because the culture that I've learned basically since I've been made aware is we spend so much time trying to survive. Like the oppression is real. I have 4 kids. I have 4 teenagers in the house, y'all. So, yeah, in between making sure all them jokers graduate from high school, trying to keep a roof over their head, and me just working, I was in straight survival mode. So, yeah, you couldn't have came to me with this because best I can do is try to keep these out. So I thought, you get what I'm saying? I dealt with a lot of, I was the neighborhood mom in my neighborhood. And I would see the young men go off to prison. And I had always been one to go to their people and, you know, is there anything I can do? But while I was doing that, I never thought that that would be me. That's another problem here. Most of us think, that's your problem, not mine. Should have raised them right. But I guarantee you mine's respectable. I ain't gonna say they soft enough to be talked to any old kind of way. I don't know how they acting behind them walls, but I know that I did the best I could do with what I got, and so many of us do. We do the best we can do with what we got. And sometimes we have to steal the scraps from the table to make it do what it do. And yeah, the female counterparts, that's you know, just mind-blowing. They stop them, stop them from the commissary, stop them from getting their mail, stop them from filing their grievances, stop them from getting their medical attention or filing a slip to get their medical attention. That oppression, it don't just stop with the racist guards. It goes straight through the whole freaking system.
So we all know that the conditions in prisons are terrible, you know what I mean, and it deteriorates anybody's health. I mean, anybody, but especially if you've aged behind the wall, it's going to deteriorate faster. And so both of the Pendleton two are suffering from some health issues, right? And so, Lil John, you were talking about, you know, aging in prison and being a senior in prison. Can you speak a little bit about that? Whoever else wants to touch on that.
Well, let me say first, America has no idea what goes on behind prison walls. None. We can tell you some things that will blow your mind. But me and this brother, we worked out a lot. We were athletic and running and doing things. That's why we were able to sit here. I mean, at 65 years old, sit here in a good shape. And it's God, it's a blessing. And make no mistake about it. And I know I wouldn't be here without it. But I've seen, at least, I was just in Wabash. I've been in Indiana for 4 years. I paroled from Wabash after doing an erroneous 6-year bid. I can tell you a story about it, but because I got a daughter in Cincinnati, a 15-year-old daughter there. But I saw 3 men. Harold Brown, y'all know HB. He was one of the greatest athletes that you could ever see in your life, not just in prison, but on the side of the wall. The last time I saw him, he was about 90 pounds in a wheelchair. Wow. Fixing to die. His family, lawyers, tried to get him out so he could die on the street. You think Wabash let him go? No. There's another brother that lived next door to me. His name is Bill Wooford. Y'all might know Wooford's birthday, Rob. Wooford, they're here from Indianapolis. He had just went to the hospital. He had passed out. And he was suffering from cancer. They brought him back to the cell the next day. The very next morning, I'm looking out my door. This is how he was. I knew I would never see him again. He died. They know these men were gonna die. And they would let him go. There's other stories in Michigan City that I can tell you about when people die and they know they're gonna die. They won't let him go. Where's the mercy? And like you said, the people who started policing were the Ku Klux Klan. They only changed the color of their uniforms from white to blue, from blue to brown, whatever color they were. Their ancestors are still doing the same things that the Klan did when they tried to track down escaped slaves. They transferred from Klansmen to sheriff to police. So how are you going to break that type of system that's been in our country forever? The same people that's guarding us, the prison guards, the females in Warbass, what you're saying is not new. There are a bunch of racist women, white women, guarding black men in Warbass County. There's no denying that. It's the same way in the country. So how are we going to break that? Like you said, we're going to make you uncomfortable. Ask Nick. Ask him. I ask them questions as white men. Why are y'all doing this? And they know they're doing it because they know the system is wrong and it needs to be fixed. And we can't do it alone. We need all the help we can get.
You know, it's hard to imagine for some people some of the atrocities that we speak about. Because, you know, you look at us and you say, well, we're all survivors. No one leaves prison unscathed. None of us. We all got emotional, we all got mental, and some of us got physical scars that's we're gonna carry the rest of our lives, but we learn to deal with it. But this is no different than some of the scars that you all carry and encounter out here. We have people in nursing homes who don't have no family members coming to see them, and if the attitude of those who are administering that place is of indifference, that waters down to those employees who changing the sheets and flipping the bodies indifferently. So to think that in a place of incarceration, you know, where you got power, unchecked power, and so we have administrators, we got guards in there who are hell-bent on, they may have just left home treated some kind of way, and they bring that to the facility, and they act on that. They act on that. We are at a time when we have to address this here. The conditions, the medical conditions in prison is just so outlandish. At one time we had a veterinarian as our primary care provider in prison. A veterinarian. You know, and when I was in the shooter secured housing unit after being at the Supermax unit and sent down to Wabash, you know, and I considered myself a pretty crafty individual who knew how to dodge this and that there. Hell, I found myself strapped down 4 ways. Do you know what it's like to have somebody force you, strip you naked, strap you down 4 ways, and then to intravenously introduce some psychotropic drug to you based on the fact that you were standing up for your rights? You had Amnesty International come through Indiana. Indiana has one of the worst human rights records there is in the country, and this is just not prevailing on the inside and behind the walls. If you look at what's going around in your communities, we get comfortable, we get complacent. It's not my problem, as someone said, but it is. But it is. Everybody in here knows that it's only a short drive away from one of these ghetto colonies to one of these affluent neighborhoods, and my misguided frustration can explode in your living room at any given night. These youngsters show that all the time. So it's incumbent upon us. We need to do this work. We need to do this here work.
Let me tell y'all some more truth. I remember I was on a lockup unit, and the little guy had messed his knee up. So they were saying, we're going to take him to the hospital. They took the man to the hospital and worked on his ankle. He had messed his knee up. They out there that messed the man's ankle up. Knee never did get fixed. The man limping around the lockup unit. And then some more stories on what you was talking about. Half the doctors, we was like guinea pigs. They done left the sponge sold up in somebody. These are documented truth. The surgical needle was sold up in somebody else. You know, come move him on out of the way and come on with the next one. You know, true story. We was guinea pigs. And when we would lay on that gurney long enough, they were gonna try to experiment on him. Let's try this on him. You can hear him. Give him that pill. Knowing this situation, y'all messed up, man. You know, I'm trying to make light of it, boys. It's spooky. So I say this to the young folks out here. Let us plant this seed with you. And, you know, be better. Don't be like me, be better than me. I'm 62 years old. And I was in that situation years and years ago. Just imagine. I was back there in the 79s and 80s, and I thought I had all the answers. But I didn't know I was getting ready to face, and I was in the belly of the beast. You know, I thought I was like kind of crafty. But they had 4 or 5 more waiting on me to treat me any kind of way. I weathered the storm because it's in my spirit to weather the storm. I was raised, it was in my DNA to be all you can be without going to the army. Okay.
Last question, and we're going to come to the audience. This is for everybody. Something I didn't say at the beginning. Both Naeem and Balagoon only had a few years. Actually, Naeem only had 3 months left on his sentence. And they still chose to engage in this to save somebody's life. And y'all talking about how a lot of us are just like, it's not my problem. So can you talk about, I guess, like what the importance of that is, of being actually like looking beyond your own situation, as hard as that can be sometimes, and then lastly, why is it important to be highlight this particular story? Like why is that important?
Well, I think if I can just go back to your opening comments about how you stated there are some individual political prisoners, whether they be Black Panthers, Weather Underground, FALN, whatever they may be in this country, who get sent to prison based upon their political views and their actions in trying to challenge oppression. But there are many of us who got politicized inside the prison. We realized when we was up on the tiers and in these lockup units that, wait a minute, I don't know this brother, but his story is my story. Yeah. His condition that he grew up under is my conditions. And so because of that we have this camaraderie, because we know that I can't survive without you. Really, we have to watch one another's back. And some of us, you know, our story, it's not as though we just did time in the reformatory. We were together in juvenile because we was recognized that the statement many of you have heard in recent years, what's this shit, from the schoolyard to the prison yard?
Yeah, pipeline.
Yeah, that pipeline. We were that. That was us. That was us. You know, and that's what's happened. The only reason some of these brothers have been able to survive behind the wall is because of others. Chris Naeem Trotter is a hero. John Cole is a hero. You know? Naeem Trotter had 3 months left. He could have easily said, not my problem. 3 months. His family has to question sometimes, son, brother, cuz you could have been here. I had an obligation. It's no different than a Sojourner Truth, a Harriet Tubman, or Ida B. Wells saying, hey, ain't none of us free if one of us is still left behind. They did what they had to do.
Well, I was in Wabash with Trotter. Matter of fact, the summer I got out in August of 2018, we were playing basketball together. He, getting a little older, he couldn't move as well as none of us could, but, just the competition. Out there on the basketball court. And that's when he really learned about his story. He told me everything that went down in 1985. So for me to have left him behind there, and he's still there, but he had 3 months left. Come on, man. It's just the simplest things in life that I enjoy because it was taken from me when I was a minister. And I wanted to sing for my God that just passed in there 3 months ago. I want to sing for all men and women in there who's been in there 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. What threat does they support oppose to society?
I'm gonna get a mic over here. This is actually Naeem's brother, so I'm gonna let you talk. Give it up.
How's everybody doing? Actually, I was incarcerated, but I am Naeem's brother. We're very close to him. I've been very supportive of him for a long time. People, incarcerated is a thing of a mind mentality that you have to have. And I believe that at the time Chris got his time, it was a mind mentality that the social life couldn't deal with. It's not exactly what he's done, it's what his mind has created itself to be. Chris been like that all his life. He always wanted to make sure that if something goes down, that it's fair. I've been with him and my youngest brother and somebody about to go down. He wanted to make sure it's fair. If you got a stick and you don't have a stick, put the stick down. That was his mentality. He carried that into the military. The military is part of the institution. Mm-hmm. They learn from the military. Mm-hmm. So the military, when your sergeant, your drill sergeant get up in your face, talk about your mother, disrespect you. That's how it was back then when he went into the military. Because it was a drive. So they basically had that mentality to make you understand that this is our world. This is the way it's going to be. And then Chris had showed the military that his mind is more developing than they thought it was. That he stood up for justice and made sure that it's fair. You can still get your point across and still be hard and still be a drill sergeant and still have that respect. He wasn't getting that respect, so he said, I must opt out. I can no longer join this. The way you talk to your people and you talk about their mother and disrespect them, how high, low grade they are, and all of that. So his mentality was always with him ever since he was little. You can feel me, even when my father got into it, he always has been that type of person. Yeah, he's not perfect, yeah, he did his thing. Well, young brother hasn't done that thing in the streets. But I think it came down to that they couldn't deal with the way his mind was going. And they call him a monster. I don't know if everybody ever seen Lock Up when they had him on TV. And they had guards calling him he's a monster. He didn't kill no one. No blood was drawn. The monster part is an undercover word for this mind we can't have out loosed. You understand what I'm saying? We can't have him circulating with the population. Because his mind is a way of when he's talking to people, he get people to thinking in a different way. A stronger way about respect, stand up for yourself. And that's the way that was, but at that time, a lot of people didn't realize that you lock up in the reformatory, you lock up in prison or whatever, their training comes from the military. That's how they lock you up in, you know, he got locked up in a cell for 34 years. Didn't see nobody. See me when I come and visit him. Get out of your cell one day, 24 hours. He goes somewhere, he's shackled with 3 or 4 guards around him. That's how powerful his mind was. And people, they didn't like that. How can a black African-American man have such a strong mind because he refused to let someone take his dignity away and his pride away? And then there's a lot of brothers and sisters locked up today. They do feel the same way. That's why they're not gonna get out. It's not some of the crimes that they did, it's the mentality of your mind, the way you can grab others. And they don't want that. They don't want that you can grab others. Yeah, they should have combined his time together, which they didn't, because they figured sooner or later he would have been out. He would have been out probably about 20 years ago. They had to say, what can we do to keep him in there? You've seen lockup? They had guards calling him he's a monster, you shouldn't get out. They did a 2-day episode on him. He talked about everything, showed him when he first came out of the population. You should have seen how people look. They was like, wow, this guy is out here. We got this mind walking around here where he can talk to others and guys, some other young guys that's been in there for 3 years not to come by. Is this what you want to be associated to? That's what they do. They do anything they want to do to you. Deny your help when you're sick. So I'm sure everyone got somebody out there that they love. You're supposed to love them regardless of what they do. I love my brother regardless of what I do. He loves me regardless of what I do. I'm not saying that you got to be perfect to respect someone, and you gotta write the straight line, go to college, and have a good job. And that's the only way you get respect. We still don't get respect that way. It's all about the mind. It's all about how people think. If you think a different way, you ain't gonna change everybody's mind, but always try to talk to other people and to see a different way of thinking. You know, regardless if they're doing this and they thinking that they should do it, if you see that you could give that brother or that sister a different way of thinking, do it. It don't cost nothing. I do it everywhere I go when I run into people. I do it to my employees. I give them another way of thinking. Because that's what we don't have. And that's what he did when he was in the penitentiary. When he had 3 months, 2 months to go. He didn't have to do it, but he seen enough is enough. That's not the first incident that happened before the Pendleton uprising. They never had intentions of taking over the Pendleton uprising. I know all about it. I'm the only one that ever received the whole document of the whole trial. It's things that they didn't let go, that didn't let in trial, that should have been in trial. Because of some reason, they let out the population to say, okay, we let you out here, you can visit, yeah, you can change some minds out here. We don't want you to get outside to change some mind. That's the most powerful thing you can have, is being outside and be able to change people's mind, be able to organize, let people stand up for not just justice in the prison system, but on your jobs, in your life, period. He wanted to teach people how to, when you see a young brother that's going the opposite way, how to change their mind. We don't do that no more. We lost that way. I'd have been doing time. Chris got on the phone and told me, this is not for you, man. Do whatever you got to do to get out of it. And he calls me all the time and say, how you doing? Hey, the point, how you doing? I tell you, he gives me my strength to be able to endure out here. Because if I feel like this, what he been through, the time, getting out of yourself for 34 years at 1 hour a day, and we can't make it out here? Come on, y'all. There is a problem. We all have. If we can't make it out here, and a brother can make it in there for 34 years, come out of jail for 1 year, 1 day and not 1 hour a day, and we can't make it out here, I've never complained to him when he calls, no matter how bad I got it. Because I ain't got it no bad, I don't have it like him. I mean, that's the way we can get other people to think, is that you think you got it rough out here? Put your place in his shoes. And see, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for 34 years, come out of my cell, 1 hour a day. And that's what he did for everybody in here. If for somebody that might have had a family member in the Pendleton Uprising, that's what he did for y'all. Because he didn't have to do it. But that's his mentality. That's his way of thinking. It's deeper than what y'all think. It's not just to overturn some of the people that's been incarcerated for a long time and they shouldn't have. It's bigger than that. A mind is a powerful thing. He's speaking of like a Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a powerful man. It wasn't his color, skin, or anything. It's his line of thinking that he got so many other people to think in a different way. He had everybody marching with him when he marched. Black, white, whatever. American lives, Black Lives Matter. You see all type of culture out there because there was someone that was able to change all these people's minds and way of thinking. But you got to keep it that way. If not, you go right back to where we at. So, you know, the only thing I say to everyone out here, I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm sorry I'm late, but let's always try to give someone else a different mind of thinking. You know, don't pass judgment against anyone, because that'll tear you down. And that's what that's what kept him there. He didn't pass judgment against him, because he know if you would have passed judgment against him, it would have blocked him from trying to be able to survive. You look at people different and everything, and you judge people, that takes your character away. Your character is what makes you survive. That's how he was able to survive. He didn't look at the prison, what they doing, they keeping me here. That's what they want you to do. They want, oh, you keep me here, it's not fair and all that. That's how they break you. But he didn't let that happen. He didn't pass judgment or anything. He kept it pushing. It is what it is. So this is all about not just Naive and Cole and all them. It's about everybody. Somebody got a family member that's incarcerated. It's not about what they did. It's about the justice system. Are they being treated fairly? That's what it's about. So we all got to get that way of thinking. I'm not perfect on my way of thinking, but I try to be. Because I think that's the most skill that you can have out here is your way of thinking. Thank you.
Something that Baye said just kind of struck in my head about the school prison pipeline. The first thing I thought about, I have an 11-year-old grandson. At the time that this particular incident happened, I think he was about 9 years old. He was in a public school down in Evansville, Indiana. And I had told Kyron that I was gonna come see him at school, but he got in trouble. And I kind of wrestled with going up there anyway, because I knew he got in trouble, but it was a good thing I did. When I got there, he was in detention, because he was bad. Okay, I get that. So where is he? I go to the room that these kids are having detention in. Number one, the door is locked. Number two, it looks like there's nobody in the classroom because they have absolutely no lights on. The only ray of light that came in this particular classroom, and like I said, he was about 9 years old, was coming from the shade. They had, out of all 12 windows in that classroom, they had one shade open. So of course now I'm furious. Where's my grandson? And when they let me in the room, first thing I want to know is, why are they sitting in the dark? Is it nap time or something? The teacher's response to me was, some are reading and some are eating lunch. There's no light in here. Their response to me was they were trying to desensitize the students. These are elementary kids. Desensitized? What, you got students or prisoners up in here? You know, of course, I ain't gonna tell y'all how the rest of it went, but my grandson didn't spend the rest of that day in there. Was just really upset. The most bothering part about it was, I felt like these children were being mistreated and they didn't even know that they were being mistreated. You know what I'm saying? So they're prepping them for what society wants them to consider their norm. So if you think about it, yeah, Trotter and Naeem are heroes, and we should be uplifting them. But at the same time, if you ain't got a loved one in prison, let's just make sure that we stand up so that I don't have a potential loved one in prison. They working on our babies. They working on babies these days. I was infuriated with that. And another thing, I think you just said, it is bigger than us. Because I didn't realize what was actually interwoven into society's structures until I read what I needed to read. You see what I'm saying? It is bigger than us. It's not just about the petty theft that they send them to prison for 15 years, and that's not even an exaggeration for some. It's about them trying to, them interwoven our character as second-class citizens. And this is, that alone, when you think about all of the heroism, all of the great inventions, the blood, sweat, and tears from our ancestors, whether y'all know them or not, they are ancestors. We all the same color. We're the backbone of this country. And they still got their foot on our neck, and we walking around here like we did something because we ain't on a plantation. But what y'all don't realize is Indiana ain't nothing but a big old freaking plantation. Even with us working out here, we still playing into their system. And until somebody, us, stand up and say, look, enough is enough, then they just gonna keep getting away with it. They gonna keep snatching up our babies, keeping our daddies and our husbands and our cousins and uncles and sisters, and and just keeping them away from us for decades at a time. Like I said, I got 6 grandchildren. No, 6 grandsons. I got 2 granddaughters. 4 of my grandchildren are being raised without their fathers. My 3 sons were raised without their fathers. At least 2 of those daddies was raised without their fathers. I don't think nothing else need to be said after that.
Hey, y'all, let's give it up for our panelists, y'all. Let's give it up. So I want to take the next 15 minutes to just do a Q&A with anybody who came out to the event to ask these amazing panelists some questions about anything you heard or anything you've been thinking about. Like you said, we all have family members, friends, different associates who are involved in the system. So any questions? If someone can't hear you, I can repeat the question, and then it's open to all panelists unless somebody has something specific for somebody. So we can get into that.
Something got to be on y'all, Mom.
I'm not sure if you answered it or not, but how do we make the change? Have we discussed where to start?
We've talked about IDOC Watch, and we've got like some like a petition for clemency that So there's an email that you can send over there. And then, of course, if any of the panelists want to speak about any ways that they've taken action on this side or on the other side as well.
You make a change by talking about it in your neighborhood, by educating people. Like I said, I knew absolutely nothing until I met this organization. I didn't know anything about what goes on inside the Indiana prison system. I didn't know that, you know, the way society was set up, you know, they set it up for us to fail. You know, miraculously, some of us get through the net, and then some of us think we got through the net, and we really ain't got through the net, because I'm one of them. You educate your people. You get mad enough to be like, no, this ain't right. You talk about it. You definitely focus on the youth, especially the ones that don't nobody want to talk to. That was I didn't realize it then, but that was my mission when I had them 4 teenagers in the house. At any given time in my house, there was at least 8 to 10 teenagers, because 4 of them were already mine. And I used that time to talk to them about the importance of school and education. And Lord knows, if I know what I know now, I'd have fed them that too. But that's what they get it from. It's like I said, I got 3 of them in prison, but because of what was instilled in them, it's part of their DNA. You know what I'm saying? You know, they do what they got to do behind the prison walls, and they still manage to hold their head up. And then you also be a support to the one that's in there. Don't forget about your loved ones in there. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Because something as simple, like I hadn't seen my son in 3 years the first time I visited him. And when they snatched him up, he had to have 3 major surgeries to put him back together. Can you imagine my firstborn laying up in somebody's hospital? They don't even want to tell me where they at. I ain't got by to excuse my friends, but I had to send a white girl to find out what was going on with my kid. They didn't even want to tell me. Off her word, that's my nephew. They told her everything she wanted to know. How about that one? Right here in Indiana.
I had to hire somebody. My son was like 17, no, he was like 15. I don't know what he got, running from the police. And he hid in the car, and they called him. And he was like, okay, I give up whatever hell is in us. They was like, oh, no, nigga, don't give up now. And put the dogs on me.
Put the dogs on one of mine too.
Like, he was about 15. And so they arrested him, and I had to hire an attorney just to see what was going on with him.
Can I respond to comment to the system? The question that you raised about how do we begin this change, you know, we done started this here, and you done started by sitting there today and listening and being a part of the energy within here. And so that those petitions, and then it goes beyond just coming in here listening to us and signing these petitions and making these calls. We have to all unleash our mind. Like I said, it's a struggle for the minds of the people. You got to struggle for your mind to get the misinformation out. You got to follow these here links. We need to read up on this stuff. We need to be apprised of what's going on. We need to really, really make this work. So I'm encouraging everyone, so I don't want the message to get lost, that today we are here in support of John Balagoon and Naeem, and we hope that you all will embrace this opportunity to sign these petitions, to send these letters. But more than anything, grab some of this literature, read some of these links to this information. The sister said that, hey, she didn't know until somebody started feeding her the truth about things. And that's what we do. Each one got to teach one. We don't expect anyone to leave out of here. This is organic. This is not some prepackaged and like, you know, macaroni and cheese, something like that. This is organic. This is happening right now. You all can unlock ideas that we don't even know about. And so we need you all. We need you really to educate yourselves, though, so that you don't find yourself being a victim or participating in the victimization of somebody else undeserving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll speak on that. I just want to talk a little bit. I think everyone in here will follow through, or you wouldn't be here. I think everyone that do want a different way of thinking, a different way of the inside of people that are in prison. You might not have no one. You might not know no one, but you might stop someone from going into prison. That's the mindset that we all gotta have. You might not know nobody, but you are acknowledging yourself to be able to acknowledge someone that maybe is not in the system, but maybe stop someone from going into the system. So that's you know, this is not, it's bigger than just Naive and Cole and all them and other ones that are in the prison system. It also has to be about to stop the ones that's going in. For sure. So we all got to acknowledge ourselves, and I think the key word of it is if we open our minds, acknowledging it is a very, very powerful tool. Once you come within all this knowledge, your speaking will become naturally. Mine is naturally. I don't have a written speech or anything. It just goes. It just goes. If I see a situation on the streets or someone, I talk to them. I let them acknowledge them, regardless if they want to hear it or not. It's always about acknowledging others. A lot of people don't want to give you that knowledge. They want to keep it to themselves. And that's what the system is about. They don't want the outside to know the knowledge so you can help someone in the inside. So they keep them focused, locked in. They monitor their calls. They look at the letters. It's all and read the letters before they go out. So if it got too much in it, you can't take it. They don't want no knowledge literature going out from the prison system. Do not want you to talk on the phone to another one in the prison system about knowledge. Chris acknowledged me. I knew that's the way he was. That's the way I am. I had to grow with it and build my character with it. So I believe everyone in here is open-minded to see that if you don't have someone in the inside or you don't know no one inside, that you stop someone from going in the inside. If you don't walk out that door and know that you can stop someone just by the little knowledge that here, say, hey, do you want to spend 34 years in a cell and come out 24, just 1 hour a day for 34 years? Somebody raise their hand if they say they could do that right now. Chris didn't know he was going to do that, but he knew where his mindset was. And that's what they do. They try to take your mindset away. So you won't be able to come out and acknowledge someone else. So that's why he won't come out. Until the time comes that we all realize that we need that type of knowledge out here. We need that type of people talking to us. And that's what it's going to come down to.
Let me get one more question.
I appreciate it.
I wanted to take one more question before we wrap up. Anybody out there got any questions? One question. Anybody?
Come on, y'all. Don't be shy.
What is it that we have to do? What is it that you gentlemen and ladies feel that we have to do together to cause some type of turnaround and change in this whole situation?
Be a part of positive energy. You see us up here trying to spread words about a situation that's taking place. Be a part of it. Something positive. You can't always be about something negative. You know?
Hook up with IDOC.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
We meet every Sunday virtually.
Yep.
We do have a site here in Indianapolis that folks can go to. But get the link, join with us.
Hey, Nick, raise your hand. Nick's right there in front of the laptop.
Yeah. And also, if there's any organization, anybody you know that's doing something positive for the community or for a family or whatever else, they don't necessarily have to share 100%. your ideology or what you think is right. But if they're doing something that's productive and positive, then that's an ally. That's an ally. And we got to work with allies. We got to bring that energy. We can use y'all. You ain't saying that you got to get up here and run your mouth like we do. You may have something else to bring to this struggle, to this cause. And so this is an open call to you all. We want you all to support the free Balagoon and Naeem, but we want you all to stand up and also struggle right along with anybody else's struggle on anything that's meaningful. It don't have to look like you. It don't have to be your idea. But if it's about doing something good and right, and it ain't serving the interests of this oppressive regime, then follow that path. Do what you can. Link up.
This brother here keeps saying, think. Me, I've changed my thinking by thinking for a change. That's what I want. That's what I want to get the system to do, to change his thinking by thinking for a change. Because what they thinking is not working. Y'all know this. And I also want to say, every man and woman in here, go home to your family. And if anybody that you know that in your family or your friends are going down that path that you can go down, talk to them about changing their thinking, by thinking for a change.
Just mention that 34 years, come out of your cell 1 hour a day.
Talk to them little boys.
That'll get them to thinking.
Yeah.
Because it can't happen.
I give it up for our panel, please. Thank you everybody for coming through. We're going to give you just a few things you can do. Everybody I know probably wants to be able to support. So there's an email list you can sign up over there with Nick, the white dude at the table. This is not the only event we're holding on this right now. As we talked about, enough people just don't know about this story, and enough people are not dealing with these conditions. So right now we're just trying to raise awareness, but we're working towards Black August to have bigger events to raise awareness on this issue. We want to put pressure on the governor. We want to put pressure on the state. So right now we're just trying to work towards doing that. If you get on that email list, you can stay in contact with us. It helps us. We're going to need masses of people to actually apply that pressure. We can't do that with 10 people or anything of that nature. Like, we need more people. So anybody you know, like they said, like, get them, grab them, bring them into this information. There's a lot of, celebrations around blackness. It's been mainstreamed. It's been corporatized. I would say it's been co-opted. But they don't talk about a lot of these things. You know, they don't deal with what's happening behind the walls. They don't deal with the people who actually put their lives on the lines for us. So we want to recognize that. So again, sign up on them sheets. You want to hear Balagoon and try to speak in their own voice. There's a QR code, and you can click on that. It'll take you to various different podcasts. Mine, myself, the Black Men's Podcast, we interview both of them, and you can hear them tell this story themselves. They're just as powerful, if not more powerful, than these brothers and sisters here, because they were there, obviously. So if you want to hear that, do that. Other than that, thank everybody for coming out. We deeply appreciate it. Great to see everybody here, and y'all have a great day.